Welcome to the Divorce Allies podcast, a podcast and video series where we dive into all things divorce, the process of negotiating a settlement offer with a team of financial experts, divorce mortgage specialists, parenting plan coordinators, relationship coaches, and even post-divorce coaches as well. We cover all areas of the divorce settlement process, from business valuations and alimony to mindset and mental well-being. I'm Anagram, and I am the team's small business consultant. I help our members transition to post-divorce, launching their side hustle or business. And today I'm with Kristen Terry, who is our divorce coach and parenting specialist. And in today's conversation, we're going to be focusing a little bit more on the post-divorce. We've created a few videos around this, but we think it's just so important to keep talking about it, especially when it comes to dating in 2025 and dating in this new, very much so online present world. So Kristen, welcome. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks. And I'm so excited about this conversation because no matter where you are, you're going to go through some of these questions
Mm,
post divorce, whether you're ready, whether you're not. Most of us, it's completely natural to wonder what next?
mm-hmm.
How next?
Right. And we were having a candid conversation, just you and I yesterday, about just dating in general. And then, of course, post divorce dating is a whole new arena, it's a whole new game. You're navigating probably a few years of the hardest few years of your life. And then now all of a sudden, you want to start dating again, but then now there's an introduction of Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, all of these different apps that you didn't have before, as well as figuring out who are you now and who do you want to be, who do you want to date. So, yeah, we just wanted to have a very authentic and real conversation here because if you have no one else to turn to, you have us at least. So,
Yeah.
Kristen, can you just give us a little brief overview of how you got into the dating world once you went through your divorce?
Yes. So I think a lot of people, when I went through divorce, I was pregnant and people were like, oh my gosh. Yes, there was that element, but I think it really helped me slow down and maybe not rush into anything just for that sense of freedom, because I did get that sense of freedom, but much later.
Mm,
I think I at least had a year and a half before I actually put myself out there or started going online and starting this dating. And when I got married or met my husband, there was no online dating. There was no, I don't think I ever really dated either. I've only been in
mm.
longer relationships, 5 years, and then almost a 10-year relationship. So the people I'd met before that was organically, and the world has shifted immensely since this time. So
Yeah.
online dating it was a learning curve. And I, even in hindsight, probably still wasn't ready, but I wouldn't change it because I learned so much through that. I don't think there is a ready, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that goes into my very first question was how do you actually know you're ready to date again after divorce? And I'm sure in the Divorce Allies, which is our community for women going through divorce, a lot of our members are coming to this point. A lot of their divorces are becoming finalized, or maybe they're even finalized. And now they're even asking, okay, like, how do I know if I'm ready? I think I'm ready, maybe physically ready, but mentally, emotionally, I have no idea.
So I think the reason for your divorce could really play a huge role, because a lot of women, some women that I work with, they've been emotionally withdrawing and healing while
Mm,
still in the marriage already.
yeah.
So by the time they file, they're like, okay, I've done the healing. Like, I've been trying to get divorced and working my way up and healing, and I'm already kind of ready. Some
Hmm.
women, maybe the divorce comes as a shock, or maybe it's a 20 or 25-year or 30-year marriage.
Yeah.
So maybe there was infidelity involved, and there's healing around that. I always say healing from divorce and healing from infidelity is a different or two different things. But there is no ready. I don't think there is a ready after divorce. I
Yeah.
don't think you'll ever, no one is fully healed either. So this expectation, I had this expectation of myself. I placed this expectation on myself that, oh, I'm not healed yet. Oh, I'm not healed. I'm not fully healed yet. And then I realized, but is anyone ever fully healed? No, we are not. And maybe your journey of healing does involve dating. Maybe it doesn't involve dating at all. Maybe you're sworn off men and never want to see another man. We go through different phases, right? You may not
Yeah.
want to date. You may want to date. There's no ready. And I
Yeah.
think your journey is your journey, and there's no guidebook.
I think that's such a beautiful statement. Also seems a little bit overwhelming of like you're never fully healed, because I think that could be a bit heartbreaking to hear, but at the same time it's a lifelong journey, and maybe some days you're going to feel more healed than others. And I think also in relationships you could find a relationship that helps you heal, or the opposite. Like it's never, I think it's even when we talk to business about like starting your side hustle or starting your business, there's never a day where it's like, okay, I'm finally ready to start. Like you're just never going to get there. Or like, I'm ready to launch today. Like, no, it's just a constant journey, a constant one foot in front of the other. But I think if we're talking about, kind of like that starting mark, do you think there is a time that's too soon to start dating? Like, okay, we understand that maybe you can push it off 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, maybe never. But do you talk to your clients about, okay, maybe you need about like a certain amount of time period to really kind of take a deep breath before you get into the dating world again?
So I went through this, and I actually ended up researching. How accurate it is, I don't know, but they say for every 5 years of relationship, you need 6 months to a year.
Wow.
So that is the generalized there, and there's exceptions to the rule with just
Of course.
with anything. But so if you've been in a 20-year relationship, maybe you're looking at 2 to 4 years worth of healing. If you were in, right, you're not going to take 3 years to heal from a 1-year relationship or a 1-year marriage. And maybe some of that was the last year of your marriage. So I don't think there is a rule, but that did help me kind of put things into perspective. So for my 10-year relationship, I would say probably 2 to 3 years is when I really started feeling like I could see myself in another relationship again.
Yeah, that's interesting, because it also depends on so many other aspects, like if there was narcissistic abuse, physical abuse, emotional manipulation, all of those things as well. And on the flip side, if you already kind of zoned out the last 5 years of the relationship or the marriage, that could also factor into things. So I think it all is just dependent on case by case. So Kristen, if we're talking about when you started transitioning to the dating world again, were there certain boundaries that you really established, that you learned to create from your marriage, that you wanted to then implement in new relationships? Or how did you kind of like work through in your own mind what you were looking for, what would be a non-negotiable when you first started dating?
Honestly, when I first started dating, I wasn't looking for anything serious.
Okay.
So that was a boundary for me. That was a boundary that I didn't want to get attached. But even though it was a boundary coming from a marriage, the ultimate commitment in relationship, right?
Yeah.
To all of a sudden backtrack to, oh, you can have a relationship or a situationship where it's not defined, but without overly committing so much of yourself. So I had dabbled back and forth, overly committing, not intentionally, out of habit almost.
Yeah.
Just because, and that could have looked like immediately expecting to text every day or a phone call every day. And that's not, I don't know if it is the rule, but you don't jump into something so quickly. Whereas you may be so used to speaking to that significant person every day, when in actual fact, if you're in a situationship and getting to know someone, you need to take a step back. You need to slow down. So there were boundaries that I'd set, but in the beginning, it was nothing serious. I was just kind of going on dates, getting to know new people, seeing what it was that I liked, what I didn't like. It was gathering information. I think we spoke about this yesterday. It was
Yes.
gathering information and learning things about myself. I took it more as just gathering that information.
Yeah. And okay, let's talk about situationships because I can relate on these topics because I haven't been married nor divorced, but I can definitely talk about modern dating culture. And if you're not familiar with the situationship, it's essentially like a new, well, not new anymore, but it's a coined term that you're in a situation that is kind of looks like a relationship, but it's not necessarily serious. And there's no official rule book. There's no official anything. You just kind of have to figure it out. And I think the hardest part is identifying what you want and then making sure you can clearly communicate it with the other person. Now, in a perfect world, they would receive that information very well and do the same thing with you. But obviously, we both know that doesn't happen all the time, where you might go to the date and say, I'm looking for something, I just got out of a serious relationship. I'm looking to just explore. And that person might say, wonderful, me too. Then the next thing you know, they're texting you constantly, calling you constantly, asking where you are. And I think you have to be so strict with yourself and say, they did not respect what I wanted. And so now maybe let's go find something new. I think that is what I've learned is really be intentional with yourself and make those boundaries so strong. So, or the opposite, where you tell this person you are looking for something a little bit more serious, but not super serious. And if they are not giving you the time of day, move on, find a new person, because I promise it is not worth the time and energy and anxiety and stress of what are they doing? Who are they seeing? All of these things. So that is like the new world of modern dating is just situationship, because online dating has made it possible where you can meet 10 people in a day or see 20 profiles in a day. And then you can choose, you can be that picky or, the opposite or that open. So yeah, Kristen, I don't know if you have anything more to add about situationships and and
I'm
that
grateful
arena.
I'm happy that you explained it, because I was also like, what is this? But I actually think it's a great space if you know how to handle it, right? And you have those boundaries in place, because jumping from maybe 2, 3, 4 dates to a full committed relationship is quite a jump. In my past few years of dating, I've learned that the first 3 months are the best case scenario, right? It's you put the best sides. My mom always said to me, someone can only put their mask on for 3 months. You'll start
Huh.
seeing the true colors after 3 months. Now, how accurate that is, that's what my mom's
Depends.
always kind of taught me. So I think that situationship, if you're not sure, it helps give that buffer to see, can we be something more? Is this just physical? Because I do believe a healthy relationship has to have a friendship element. There has chemistry, connection, and compatibility are my three things. I've spoken to them on a previous podcast. There needs to be that physical chemistry. There needs to be a connection, what you like, a best friend in your
Mhm.
partner. And then compatibility. Do you have the same morals, values? Do you even live in the same country? Are your careers in alignment? Does one work night
Mhm.
shift, one works day shift? So yeah, I think a situationship does allow for that space to get to know someone before fully committing.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're committing and then it's a breakup message and but you brought up a very valid point, is knowing your boundaries and being able to communicate them. And in that, being honest with your communication, in saying, I'm not ready for something, or I am looking for something more serious, or I'm not sure. And that's okay. I've said that before. It's like, I'm actually not sure. And I wish I could give you an answer,
Mhm.
yes or no, but I can't give that to you right now. even that is so valuable. If you're not sure, say to someone. So yeah, situationships can be very confusing, but they can also be a space for you to slow things down and really get to know someone before going into a committed relationship.
And I think what you said about that 3 month, those first 3 months, it is so true, because in my dating experience, those first 3 months can be either like the most exciting and kind of like rose colored glasses situation, but then truly like it is like clockwork. That second that 3 month time limit comes around, you can really see who that person is. And I think for a lot of people listening to this, or even our members in the Divorce Allies who have gone through very toxic relationships and marriages, in those first 3 months of that, the partner that they decided to marry, they probably were completely blinded, and it turned into a serious relationship very quickly. And that's kind of how they almost got stuck. And so I think it is so valuable to understand, enjoy the first 3 months, but do not completely swoon yet, because it is such a pattern. And then on the flip side, after 3 months, the relationship could get so much easier. And so like walls come down a little bit, and you're not putting on this persona anymore. And the relationship actually can build beautifully, because you don't have the mask on. So I think just pay attention to that. And because I think a lot of people, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, is they are so worried about getting into the same type of relationship, or not trusting themselves, not trusting other people. And I think that 3 month rule is very important. So like, give it 3 months. My mom always said, you need to see someone through all the 4 seasons before you can even decide if they're someone you want to keep around. And so first 3 months, and then the 4 seasons, if you live in a place that has 4 seasons. But we were talking about online dating, and I think we should definitely get into this, because we can just talk more like in general of what to keep in mind when you're thinking about dating again online. So whether that be something like Match.com or Hinge, Tinder, one of the online applications. Kristen, what do you think are the first, like a few factors or things to keep in mind when someone is about to embark on the journey of online dating?
I think you already mentioned it, is which platform, because there are nuances within each platform, and each platform has its benefits, right? So depending on what you're looking for. I don't know about the States. Tinder is generally known as more hookup culture.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you, hookup culture is where you're not looking for anything serious and something more physical. That's definitely the case here in South Africa. Hinge and Bumble tend to have more, you're going to see more of the person's personality. I can't remember which one. I actually haven't been on them for a while, but one of them, I think it's Bumble, where women have the power and you get to accept first, or have to
Mm-hmm.
message first.
Mm-hmm.
So Match.com or eHarmony, these go deeper personality quizzes. So if you're looking for something longer term, you might find a more deeper connection there. So for those of you brand new, there's a little rundown of which platforms to go on. But then there's writing your profile and what to look out for in profiles of men, and what to share, what not to share. As a general rule, online dating, or even just online, is never share your exact location. Never share addresses with anyone online. Even if you've been speaking to someone for 3 months, don't give your address until you've
Yeah.
physically met someone. Not even to send you something. Do not share your address online, because you have no idea who is behind this profile. Because
Mm-hmm.
photos and words can only tell you so much.
And just to add to that, a lot of people might be wondering, well, I would never give my address out. Well, a lot of these applications, they ask if you want to share your specific location. And so while you might not be saying you live at 123 Apple Street, the application will use your location to show another profile. Oh, maybe Kristen is only 10 meters away from me, or 0.5 miles away from me. So I'm always wary. I think there are specific settings of like, you can make it more vague, but I would, again, like, we're not saying the specific address. Well, of course, don't ever put your specific, but just be aware that the applications really pinpoint your location, which makes it a little bit scary.
Yeah. And like you say, it sounds like common sense, but if you've been speaking to someone for 3 months, you let your guards down a little bit and they say, "Oh, I want to send you some flowers. Can I see?" And you give your address. You may
Yeah.
not, so I'm saying it because you may not be, you may think you've built up a trust with this person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they are the person they say they are, and you're not catfished or something, and you video called, there's still a risk until
Mm-hmm.
you've met this person a few times and you really do build that trust up. As for catfishing, I totally got catfished way in the beginning.
Okay, tell us what is catfishing for people who don't know. Tell us, because this is big.
It's basically a fake profile. You look at this profile and you think, wow, this person looks amazing, but it's not that person at all. Or they've embellished
Mm-hmm.
heavily on who they
Mm-hmm.
are or what they do or what they look like.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was obviously a really good looking guy. And I was chatting to my best friend. I was like, check this guy out. And she's like, I've seen his face somewhere. So I've got a tip for you. She taught me, take that photo and put it in Google Images and reverse search it. Because what catfishers do is they'll steal other Instagram profile photos or someone else's, an influencer or some model or something, someone good looking, and they'll use that. And I mean, with social media, it looks like someone at the beach. It looks like it's you somewhere, you know? So
Yeah.
reverse search those images if you're not sure. There's lots of like cute Facebook groups at the moment. Are we dating the same guy? I don't know if
Yep.
you've there's
Yep.
some of those groups where women are standing together to say, actually, I went on a date with this guy. He did this, he tried that. So if you are dating, just be aware, just be
Yeah.
cautious, be mindful. I always made a rule that, you want chivalry. And I've had a lot of men offer, can I come pick you up? And I'd be like, no, it's fine. Thank you for the first date. For the first 1 to 3 dates at the least, I would drive myself to a public space.
Mm-hmm. Do you have more tips like that? Because I think that that's very valid. And if like, just so not allowing them, because I even think like how they would sneak in there is like sending flowers or sending food, because you think like, oh my gosh, they're being so kind, but that's address. Picking up, that's also address. Are there any more
And that's
little,
being alone in a car with someone that you
right,
don't know. You don't know
right?
where they're going to drive to.
I mean, like, do
And
you have a ideal like first date to meet this person on what that looks like?
there's so much around this because some people prefer just going for maybe a walk and a coffee or something. Some
Mm-hmm.
people prefer a proper date. In different phases of where I was, now that I'm looking for something more serious, I want someone to be able to invest the time in me. So, and the thoughtfulness and the value in it. When I was more open, a little walk and a coffee date was fine for me.
Mm-hmm.
So always being sure that you are out in public. Don't go and choose a secluded hike for the first date. Make sure that you may love hiking and not even consider that. I love
Mm-hmm.
hiking, and I had to catch myself in that thought process. And when someone suggested, hey, should we go for a hike? I was like, yeah, sure. And then I was like, hold on a moment.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not going to go for a hike
Yeah.
with you alone. Maybe that's a third or fourth date or a group. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. No, I think, and we're not trying to instill fear, because most of these people are going to be fine. They're going to be completely just men, women looking for other companionship as well. But there are those certain rare occasions and creeps out there that we're just letting you know that unfortunately with online dating comes a lot of these things you need to keep in mind. But I think at the end of the day, it's, again, we'll preach and preach again, it's intuition. If at any point you're chatting with someone, you've done a Google reverse search, it's them, they seem so perfect and right, but then there's just something in your gut that's off, please trust it, because you can swipe to the next person and there's going to be someone else. So it's just like, don't get stuck in this rabbit hole and always just trust your gut, because I've been in so many situations where it seems like, oh, this person is, even after a first few dates, like things are really going well, we're agreeing, having great conversation, but something just isn't right. And sometimes you never find out what that is, but you have to listen that your body's telling you something. After especially going through divorce, it's such a healing, transformative journey. Your intuition is probably at its prime right now. But I think
another thing you mentioned there, Anna, that I want to say is go check Facebook, go check Instagram, go check LinkedIn for these people's names. I felt guilty, like, ooh, I'm online stalking. But you can see from those profiles, you can tell a lot by what someone chooses to put out there. By friends' photos, by what they're doing. You can tell a lot. And I would recommend that women do this because, yes, not all men, but there is a risk. So do your due diligence before going on dates. Make sure you safeguard yourself. Make sure you tell someone that you're going on a date that night and where you're planning on going, and that you'll message them when you're home safely. Very simple, very easy things to do.
A little quick just thing that I do with one of my friends who lives near where I live. So anytime that I was going on a date, I would say, like, we had a dedicated emoji. So like a dragon emoji was like, things are good. And like a polar bear, something completely random was like, no, things are bad. And if there was like one emoji, it was like, you need to show up right now. So because then you get, you don't want to say like SOS, but just a discreet little emoji. And it's like just having those little cues with your friends. It's so helpful. And you feel like people are actually looking out for you. There was one thing that you said that I just wanted to echo, but I can't remember right now. It'll come back to me. But
can I add something as well there on
Yes.
that? Because I love that idea that you do. We actually had a restaurant franchise chain in South Africa that in the females' bathrooms had all these posters that would say, if you're on a date and you're feeling uncomfortable, and there were 3 drinks. I can't remember the names right now, but you could order this drink and it would mean the waiter would call you away from the table to see if to try and talk to you. If you ordered a nut, like a cappuccino with 2 marshmallows, I'm saying something completely random here, but they would walk with you they would order an Uber, and a waiter would walk with you to the Uber. So if you ever felt uncomfortable, they'd actually put this out in the females' bathroom stalls, which I thought was such a cool idea.
It's amazing. Yeah. And I remembered what I was going to say the second you started talking.
Great.
Was there is such a difference between when you're saying like preparing for these dates, meeting these people, there's a difference between like stalker level, which I think as women we're thinking, oh my God, I'm being so creepy. No, there's a difference between being a stalker and doing your due diligence. And so that's what we're advocating. Don't get obsessive with it. But of course, it's still very like, check his LinkedIn. I mean, make sure your profile is maybe private, but is he working at the company he said he's working at? Does he have a wife? Like, you can check, does he actually have a wife? Does he like certain things? But yeah. Okay. I want to move on a little bit, but I think we could just talk on and on about dating behavior and dating culture. Yeah. Cause being in the thick of it, but anyway, I wanted to transition to, okay, so now let's say you've done your due diligence, you're ready to get out there, you feel like you've met someone you're excited about. How maybe your journey, but then also like the public's journey, how can you really start changing some of the insecurities that your old marriage or the whole divorce process put on yourself? Because I'm sure in a lot of situations, women are going through like, well, I don't even look like myself anymore. I was dating when I was 20. Now I'm 40. And I'm just insecure and I don't even know who I am anymore. How do I even go out there and grab that confidence and do it? Like, could you just talk a little bit how you kind of transition your mindset and maybe if how you help your clients get into this?
Sometimes dating is exactly the place to get that confidence, to
Okay.
see yourself through someone else's eyes. I can honestly say that did help build my confidence again, to see how what other people were interested in me about my life and my journey from where I've been and how I thought and how I processed things. So um, dating can help you in that sense in building your confidence again, because if you've been married for 20, 25 years or however long you've been married, you've only seen yourself through your spouse's eyes, right? And how, or not only, but more often than not, they're the biggest influence in how you see yourself, and
Yeah.
can shape that for you. So to see a new perspective and see how other people are reacting to you is healing in itself. And I think we mentioned this earlier slightly, which I wanted to touch on, is so much healing happens alone, but then you do get to a point where healing happens in relationship and healing happens in dating. So for me, my self-confidence, my self-worth, my self-trust, all of that was in the absolute gutter when I had finally gone through the divorce and I just had a baby, newborn. I was starting to get my body back in shape again. I wanted to feel strong. I wanted to look after myself. So that's one thing I did is, and I do recommend for my clients, feel good. You don't need to look like a swimsuit model, but do things that make you feel good in your skin and start embodying that feminine side of yourself. For women, I don't necessarily think that sensual side has to come from physical intimacy with the opposite sex or whoever you're dating. Your sensual side as women and our feminine essence is it's so attractive to men. And if you can focus on that and really embody that within yourself, and that can be through having a bubble bath and running a bubble bath for yourself, or slowly self-care is
Yeah.
rubbing the cream on your body, or maybe you're a smell person, so you've got candles, bringing out your senses, your sensual side.
Yeah.
And that's how to me, that's been a little bit of my journey, is tapping into my sensuality from within, doing things that make me feel sensual, whether that be a sexy lingerie and no one's going to see it, but there's something to say about that, right? When you've got new underwear or a matching little set and you wear it under the baggiest jeans and t-shirt, you
Yeah.
still feel slightly
Mm-hmm.
sexier.
Mm-hmm.
So there's little things as a woman that you can do to cultivate that within without having to look for it and look for the validation from the masculine.
Yeah.
Because once you
Yeah.
actually have that, and we do lose that through our marriage. 98% of my clients have lost their sensual side within their marriage, because obviously intimacy declines, and then you start questioning, is it me? Am I not, maybe I've had kids, it's not about what you look like, it's about what you feel inside. And if
Yeah.
you feel good inside, if your skin feels soft and there's scents going around your house and you are working out and you're feeling healthy and you are glowing and you're doing things that build your confidence in your life, that is attractive. That is building your sensuality within as a woman. And you just men need to chase. This might be an unpopular opinion, but most of my guy friends and most of the men, we are meant to attract. We bring towards us. So for women,
Yeah.
my biggest dating thing would be fill your cup, because once your
Yeah.
cup is full and you feel good and you feel sensual and you feel confident and sexy, whatever that looks like to you, you're going to have a lot more fun. Have fun with dating. And yeah. That's fine.
Yeah, and we tell our members, like, during the divorce process, when you're not ready to date at all yet, date yourself. Go shopping. Pick out the cutest outfit, cutest jeans, cutest skirt, something that maybe you would have never bought before. Go, even if you don't feel comfortable going in your direct town because maybe you know too many people, go to the town over, take yourself to the nicest cafe, order yourself a coffee you would never order before, then maybe go to the nice little cocktail bar next door, sit up at the bar, like, date yourself, look at yourself in the mirror and say, yeah, I'm on a date with her right now. And it's just like building this inner confidence, because then that's practicing on how you're going to show up when there's another person on the date with you. And I think that that's a beautiful and such a powerful thing, is just like building that confidence and sensuality inside of yourself. Because absolutely, like, there are some times where it's just like, I live by myself, so of course there's, you have a cute little outfit on, it's like, okay, look at you, like, gas yourself up, give yourself the compliments you've always desired, because it's even more special coming from yourself.
Yeah, as women, we can be so hard on ourselves, and society can be so hard on us as well, and expectations. And I mean, I grew up in the era with the song "You're So Vain," and I remember always I was really scared that people would think you're vain, or it's not a word that gets used often enough. Like, not often enough. It's not a word that gets used often anymore.
Yeah.
And I tell my clients, stop worrying about that, because you're probably beating yourself up way more than you need to. So if you look in the mirror and you feel good, like, say to yourself, damn, girl, you clean up good. Like, I went clubbing one night by myself. I felt like dancing. I had no one around. I took myself out dancing. I had the best night of my life. I took myself on a little holiday. As scary as it is, the confidence I gained from doing those things, because I was like, actually, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
So do the thing that scares you. Go on that date. Go to the cinema alone. Go have dinner alone. Go to a club alone. Go to an art museum alone. Go do things alone. You don't have to do it all the time, but just if that's the thing that's scaring you, do it.
Yeah.
What's the thing that's scaring you? Do that thing.
And a part of that, probably the scariest thing for a lot of us, just women in general, is rejection. Go out and get rejected. You're still going to be okay. You're still going to wake up the next day. You're still going to be this person who went through all of these transitions that still came out on the other side. There's not any rejection can change who you are. And so that's what it's like, immersive therapy, right? Go, and if you're on online dating, I would say, like, shoot your shot, get rejected, and maybe you don't get rejected, because imagine that. Like, I think we get so hung up on, like, well, I can't even make the first move because, like, and then what if he says no? Good. I hope he does, because it's just going to help you speak to the right person. And then the right person is going to see all of your beauty inside and out. So I think I'm all for pro rejection, because I think it's such a great challenge.
Yeah. Which touches on probably one of my biggest lessons I learned. I know you probably have this question later on, but seeing as we're here, one of my biggest tips for dating is that rejection is not don't take it personally. Where everyone is, it may be, gosh, I have rejected people because they have the same name as someone that I just could never date again, or they're just a little bit too tall, or I don't think that career I could manage being with a policeman because that would stress me out too much. Don't take it so personal, as if you are not worthy. It could be the most ridiculous reason why someone can't be with you, or doesn't want to be with you, or isn't attracted to you. Maybe you're too active. Maybe they're just looking for a couch potato wife. Maybe you're a couch potato wife and they're active. It's not personal. It could be a million reasons. So I remember, like, one of the first few rejections, I was like, oh my gosh, like, it must be because I did this or said this or did this or said that. No, it's not. It got to take the pressure off.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, you'll never know the reason that they rejected you or said no or ghosted you, which is another term, which just means completely stopped replying. The amount of times you're having in-depth conversations with someone on a dating app, you think, oh my gosh, our next date is planned next week. This is so exciting. And then all of a sudden he disappears. Yeah, that's normal too. And it's okay. Like, it's nothing personal, like Kristen's saying. It's just, unfortunately, he found someone else he's pursuing instead. And that has nothing to do with you as a person. But I also want to kind of go off this on like what you were saying about the name or like the height. On the flip side, what I've learned is I was so strict with myself on, well, he has to be taller than me. I would really like for him to have like at least a bachelor's degree, like all of these very strict things. And then, I mean, also granted, I live in a different country, so I'm almost forced to date out of my comfort zone. And when you give people chances, I'm not saying they always work out, but at least it's a very interesting conversation that you've never had before, or you're learning. Like, I go into every single date, what am I going to learn from this person? Even if it's the most boring, uncomfortable conversation I've ever had, I can at least learn from it or have a story to tell. And so I urge even like my friends right now going through this, anyone, don't pigeonhole yourself in a specific, I'm only looking for this person, so I have to only date that. Try it all.
Yeah.
Because on the first date, it's just a conversation, right? Like, so that was my little insight there.
Which is depending where you are, because I definitely did that. I went completely out of my comfort zone, and where I can be honest, where I am now is I am ready to look for something more serious. When I was more open, I was not so nitpicky. I was like, interesting. Like you say, it could be interesting scenarios. And I've got a funny little story to tell you, actually.
Yeah.
I'd been speaking to this wonderful guy. I'll keep it as anonymous as I possibly can. I've been speaking to this wonderful guy, and he ended up flying to, we spoke for about 2 weeks. He doesn't live in my city, and he ended up flying to my city, to Cape Town for 5 days. And I was so excited to meet him. And the moment I met him, something was off. I don't know what was off. I don't know what it is, our energy. But the moment I met him, I was like, oh no, no. And I don't have the answers to tell him.
Yeah.
And that was really tough. So that's also why I want to say, sometimes it's just not in alignment, and that person may not have an answer for you, or you may not have an answer for them. It just feels not right. And he's a wonderful human. I still speak to him. He's a wonderful person. There was just something that wasn't in alignment for us. And that's where that intuition comes in.
Yeah. And to just kind of round it up, because the last questions were essentially like, could you share some of your personal dating experiences, just so we can, but that, I think that's a great story. Like, yeah, you met someone, you were so excited and things are off. And so you just let it fizzle out. Like, you don't, because I think my final say in this is, we live in such an abundant world, and dating is all about mindset. This is something I've been navigating for years. And I think when I finally changed my mindset of, I'm not going to put men at the center of my attention anymore. I'm going to focus on my work. I'm going to focus on my business. People come into your life that are, it's so positive. And, you know, like, so now I'm growing this relationship. I don't know what it will turn into, but it was the simple mindset shift of, and by the way, I live in an abundant world. So if this doesn't work out, there will always be someone next. And so I think, unfortunately, social media puts this narrative out that there's no good men anymore, that everyone's, you know, we're all going to be single for the rest of our lives. Well, you can buy into that. And I think that that will reflect in your dating life as well. But if you believe that there is, do not center men or partnership in general. I think it doesn't matter if it's men or women, but if you're always seeking for validation from the external, I think sometimes you're going to be left disappointed. But yeah, boost yourself up, focus on business, focus on kids, focus on anything else, and watch the abundance flow into your life. But Kristen, do you have any other little tidbits or stories or advice that you would like to share?
Yeah, have fun with it. As Anna said, there's so many different things. Be open to it. You're going to make mistakes. I made mistakes. I got into something after date one. I slept with someone after date one. I had someone fly here and it didn't work out. I got too attached too soon with someone else. I had high expectations for this one. I went in too quickly with. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes and take it easy. I've also got funny stories where I've sat on dates and I have not stopped laughing because it's so awkward. I remember going on a date with this guy that would lick his knife, and I was like, every time he did it, I was like, oh, help me, please. I've been on a date where the guy was so shy. It was also super awkward. I've been on a date with a guy that was in theater, and he was so elaborate and over the top. Go have fun with it. And if you are looking for something serious, then set your boundaries. Know what you're looking for. If you're looking for fun, go for that. Whatever you're looking for, have grace. Give yourself that grace. After marriage, there is no right or wrong. Protect yourself in every way possible. Safeguard yourself on the internet. Safeguard yourself sexually as well. I do believe in soul ties. I do believe, and there are so many things going around. So there's safeguard yourself, have fun, give yourself some grace. It's my last few tips.
I love it. Well, I think this was such a great conversation, and we probably will be putting out some type of download or future series about this, because I don't think it's talked enough about in a very real, authentic fashion. So if you have any questions or have a specific topic you would like us to dive into more, send us an email, put it in the comments, whatever you think, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much, Kristen.
Thanks, Anna. Bye.